hear me?
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah.
I hit every light down over here.
Don't you love that?
No.
No, not quite.
How's this first game going? The game.
It's alright. Bojan has 15 points. He's made 7 of 10 field goals to lead the team.
And
Only 1 for 3, though.
and Spider's been doing nothing.
Mitchell he's 1 for 8 with a bucket.
That's what you want.
Not quite.
Hey, Brunson's getting there.
Alright. What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. NBA playoff Saturday is upon us. So I expect no one to watch the stream because they're watching the Jazz and the Mavs game. But hey, we said we'd come out here. We dropped some content here. Maybe search around. The first game, we only had a couple plays from that game anyway. I wouldn't have gotten too crazy with it. So what I maybe it's just me. Well, okay, so you're a Warriors fan, cool. But for me, the game that I'm most looking forward to was the T-Wolves and Grizzlies.
Yep.
Like, that should be a lot of fun because
Yeah.
all year long, the Grizzlies have been, they've had attitude, they've had spunk, and I just want to see how they fire back at a guy like Patrick Beverly, who's going to bring some of that attitude and spunk. Like, don't get it twisted, man. The Grizzlies got that grind, they got that grittiness to them, too. So, you might get some ejections in that one, and Steven Adams will carry somebody off the court. I don't know.
Yeah, I if the T-Wolves can keep it close, it's gonna be the game for sure. I'm hoping that it can. You know, if Cat gets in foul trouble again, then we could see that game go south real fast.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe against Steven Adams. Adams not that active on the glass to get him in
I'm more
foul
worried
trouble.
about the Jaren Jackson.
Jaren Jackson, yeah.
Yeah.
They just might start windmilling each other. I don't know. Cortland Finnegan out there. I don't know.
Right.
Andre Johnson. Anyway, shout out to the live chat. Shout out to you guys hanging out with us while watching some basketball. Keeping an eye on the game here. I'll refresh it on NBA. So we are looking, huh?
Projections?
Yeah. I did all that. Where are we at on? Are we almost at halftime? It'd be nice. Yeah, so we're almost at halftime. So it's actually working out pretty well to at least get us cranked up for the we're the halftime show for the Dallas and the Utah. 17 points right now for Bojan though.
Are we gonna get our roller skates on and some that neck gear?
What's that girl that's always on like the giant unicycle and flipping like plates and stuff? What is the point of that? What? I can't understand. Like, how is that ever practical or like what? Anyway, I guess it's entertaining. What are you gonna do? Can't look away. You just hope one day. What up, Sean? What up, Brody? What up, Mr. B? Skimmer in the chat. Hater Anzo here. Emerson says just need Mitchell to score 25 more points. Well, he's going to have one of those Trae Young second halves, right? Yesterday, man. Yesterday. A lot of roughness, a lot of we've seen Ty Lue definitely change the entire game at half a few times this season. We knew that was a range of outcome. It almost worked out for him, right? And going small, that second half kind of created a ripple effect of who they would fire back at him, and just really that third quarter. So it a lot of the projections just kind of went out the window there. And then other than Trae, there was a couple of calls that we were spot on about, but a lot of bad beats and a lot of game scripts that didn't go quite the way I scripted it. What are you gonna do?
The house is happy because it was definitely the night of unders.
Oh yeah, for sure. And sometimes it's gonna be like that. Sometimes it's gonna be an under kind of day. Hopefully today, not so much. Hey, this stream brought to you by ODDSJAM.com. Shout out to ODDSJAM. If you guys aren't on ODDSJAM, there's a link in the description below. ODDSJAM is a great companion site. If you're just using PrizePicks, you can shop the lines that you'll see on PrizePicks on ODDSJAM and compare it to up to 50 different sports books to kind of see where the public's at and if the line's going to move, to see if you got some value on the line that PrizePicks may have right now, if there's some value on that line, and so on and so forth. And then also, if you are playing on PrizePicks and you also have access to a sports book, this is an incredible site to have in your pocket for tracking your sports bets, for finding the most EV spots to make those bets, and just in general being able to attack stuff quickly. You don't have to open 5 different apps. It's going to do the work for you. So go check them out, oddsjam.com, link in the description below, and make sure you're using it as part of your daily prop hunt grind, whether or not you're playing on just PrizePicks or not. We have 3 games later in this evening or afternoon. You know what I mean. Staggered, one by one. Feels a little bit like, Christmas, NBA Christmas every year. You get to sit back and just watch basketball all day. It's kind of got those vibes, except, I got baseball. But like I said, the T-Wolves and Grizzlies is a game that I want to see. I want to see both these teams lay it all out there. So let's talk about a couple of these games that are coming up, starting with the T-Wolves and the Grizzlies. We've got a 237.5 total, 6.5 point spread in favor of the Memphis Grizzlies. Both of these teams are going to push the pace. It's going to be a track meet. Minnesota was number 1 on the regular season in pace. Memphis number 4, and they missed a big stretch of Ja Morant games, and they were a little bit slower without him. He'll pick the pace back up. So I expect a track meet between these two teams, and they play very similar mindset style of basketball, aggressive defensively, and a lot of attitude that doesn't show up in the numbers. So there'll be a lot of jaw jacking, and I think it should be very, very compelling television. I'm gonna start with the Minnesota Timberwolves side and shop the PrizePicks board. And where do you want to start? You want to start with wait, we don't have T-Wolves line? No, the second half. Excuse me. Let's start with the T-Wolves side.
Man, Cat. So they didn't have any fantasy points for this game last night when I was researching, but now we have them and we have your projections. They have Cat at 44 fantasy points. Isn't that tempting? You have him at almost 56 projected.
Yeah, and I've been well over the 50s all playoff long. It's just a matter, or all playoff long for the last game too. He's just gotten foul trouble, and we've discussed this is a real problem with him. He was top 3 in the league in fouls for 36. So but
the Grizzlies, like you've said all season, what do they give up the most? Blocks, right?
Blocks and steals. Yep. And that's an unsung part of Cat's game, right? You think of Cat, you don't really think about the fact that he averages over a block and steal per game. Mostly blocks, though, not so much steals. So, yeah, it is a good block spot for him. And we saw that even without Ja Morant, right? We thought a lot of it was Ja Morant driving to the rack, getting blocked. But even when Ja Morant was out, they were still top 3 in blocks allowed per game. So they'll try and get some points in the paint. So this is a good spot to rack up those plus 3s pretty commonly. Maybe you get 2 or 3 blocks out of them. 55 fantasy points. I think Cat, that's a solid first look. I do got some respect for Steven Adams. So I just kind of want to look at the historical numbers against Steven Adams. So we'll go FTP by game log versus Steven Adams.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, fantasy over real points.
Right. All right. And then Adams, Adams may not go out to the perimeter with him. But 48, 35, 47, 28, 64 PrizePicks fantasy points in his last 5 games up against Adams. Only 3 of those games were this season against the Grizzlies, with 28 minutes, 24 minutes, and then the 43 minutes he obviously hit the over. But 24 and 28 minutes in those games, you want to guess why he didn't get So one of those games he was plus 28, so that looks like it was a blowout, right? So what was the final on that one? 138-95. They absolutely smoked the Grizzlies in that game.
Foul trouble in any of those games?
Yes, the last game he had 5 fouls in 28 minutes. However, he had almost 49 PrizePicks points. And then I want to go look at the the game on it was November 20th. He only played 24 minutes, 35 fantasy points, but it was a blowout. But I do want to see what that rotation looked like that game in terms of wow, I don't know how to get to November in a efficient manner. All right, keep going. But it looks like he's had some success. It's easy to not read between the tea leaves and see the minutes here, but I think the minutes suggest that he should be all right. So on the 20th, Cat didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter of that game. He did get in a little foul trouble in the first half, where he didn't even close the first half. So that's something to keep an eye on. But that's the risk you take when you roster Karl-Anthony Towns or you bet on Karl-Anthony Towns for prop betting. But I'm willing to take that risk here. I think not only do I think he's you got to believe after that first game, sitting on the sidelines, he was scared that they were going to lose that game.
Yeah.
And everyone would be pointing at him because he couldn't stay in the game. So you got to believe he's going to be more careful. Like I don't know, man.
Oh yeah. No, he said after that game, he said, I got to be disciplined in showing my hands and praying a lot and putting a lot of holy water on it. That's what he said, quote.
Hey, it's Easter weekend. There's plenty of holy water floating around this weekend.
So a big problem with him, I noticed, and I haven't gotten the exact stats on it. A lot of his fouls come on the offensive side from trying to get offensive rebounds and just getting charges.
Yeah.
So not even just being aggressive on defense and with blocks or anything like that. He's got to chill on the offensive charges, and a lot of it's due because they're double teaming him, and he's not handling the double teams that correctly. So Coach Finch said that he's got to really work on the double team traps. I assume Memphis does the same thing to him because it works so well for the last game. So I don't know. I think. I think they do it to like what the Clippers did to him today, Memphis. So with that said, I like D'Lo. He's torched Morant every time he plays him. So his 18.5 points, I could definitely get on, especially if they trap Cat or he gets in foul trouble.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind that. I would say that the T-Wolves have enough firepower that, I mean, this isn't like, I don't know, this isn't like the Nuggets, right? You trap Cat, well, they still got Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell to make your. You can't sacrifice too much. So I could see them going to that route, but if it starts like failing, we start seeing D-Russ pop off and Edwards as well. I wonder how committed they would be to that. But I'm in agreement with you. The fact that this game is almost a 240 total, and we talked about what's at stake here in the minutes that these guys will likely play in the playoff series. Under 20 points from a guy that could be top 2 in shot attempts, maybe top 3 at worst. I feel like that's a little light here. And if we do get Cat in foul trouble, we saw it against the Clippers. D-Russ will take some shots. He'll chuck some threes as well. So let's start a little list here. We'll put.
Yeah. Do you like his 3-point prop more for D'Lo 2.5, or do you like his real point?
2.5 threes is the question.
Yeah, he should take about 8 to 10.
Let's run a Wowie and just actually put some numbers behind this. So let's do it since the All-Star break. So since the All-Star break, let's put Cat, D-Russ, and Anthony Edwards. I guess we should put Beverly on the court as well.
Memphis, they tend to put Dylan Brooks on the best offensive threat in the perimeter. And they have him shadow people. I definitely know that.
Larry Nance Jr.
Do you think that he will follow Edwards more or D'Lo?
I think it's mix and match. I don't think it's a shadow defense type of situation. So I mean, this whole team just chalks threes, right? The T-Wolves are
they lead the league.
They lead the league in threes per game. Let's see, 3 points via the 3-ball per game. Minnesota's leading the league here. So I was looking at percentage of shots for the whole team here, and like everyone has over 30% of their shots from the 3-ball, even Cat. So yeah, if we do think that D-Russ is going to flirt with the over on that on the 18.5 real points, yeah, it definitely could be realistic to say that it could imply for 3 or more threes here. So I'll tell you what, let's go check out ODDSJAM and let's see what we got on player made threes and see if there's any juice one way or the other on D'Angelo Russell. 2.5 looks like it's pretty even. A little bit of juice on the under. So the public isn't necessarily swaying hard on the over here, but the public's usually wrong. That's why the books are the books. But I'll put points for now. Let's encompass free throws and stuff like that, especially at the end if it gets down to the wire. I think in the playoffs, a lot of people that are trying to cap real points and stuff like that forget how foul happy the final couple minutes of a playoff game really, really is, just because they're trying to just steal a possession back, and that might be the case here. With that said, Memphis favored by 6.5, so maybe it's going to be more so on the other side with the Morant, Bane, and Brooks for the free throws at the end there. But we shall see. So I'll put D-Russ points. I got Cat fantasy points. Anything on Anthony Edwards? Maybe rebounds. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking rebounds. I mean, it's right below his season average. Just amount of shot volume, but I don't know. He's so up and down. And you're really rolling the dice with him. He can get up really hot or he can go ice cold.
I have Edwards for 43 fantasy points. I've got D-Russ at 41. I got Cat at 55. They have Edwards at 36 fantasy points. They got D-Russ at 35 fantasy points. They got Cat, as we mentioned, under or at 44. My projections like the over on all three. And I don't think it's as negatively correlated in the playoffs as maybe the regular season would be, just because there's a world where they play 40 minutes each, and it just seems a little bit underpriced for this total, for this pace. So I wouldn't even hate same game parlaying those three overs into the mix. And then just out of curiosity, Patrick Beverley bringing all of that noise, he's at 26 fantasy points. I got him at 32. We talked about this against the Clippers, where Patrick Beverley did get that extension, and while he was more so or less playing, 26 to 28 minutes in the regular season, you signed him for the playoffs, and in game one of the playoffs, Beverley played 32 minutes. So if you can get him close to a point per minute at 32, 33 minutes, I think he should clear that point prop at 26, right? So I might be interested in that, and he's another guy that could fill up a stat sheet with steals.
Yeah, oh yeah. What was the thing he has ongoing with Memphis with a dance after the game, right? He called them out.
I don't know, but I will say this, and this is not quantifiable in stats. I'm very worried about Beverly getting in foul trouble, teed up, and ejected, because we have seen some ejections this year on the other side of the Grizzlies. They will chirp back, and they got attitude themselves. So Beverly may not be able to keep us cool here on the road, especially if the crowd starts going at it. So I do have some love for Beverly just mathematically, but from a real life standpoint, I think he's an emotional player, and so the Grizzlies all year have been an emotional team. So do you remember Steven Adams picking up old boy from the Bulls and just like carrying him half the court down? He's just like, yeah, man. It's just like the rest of the Grizzlies will irk you, and Steven Adams will just be the nice New Zealand guy. Hey, buddy, come here. And just pick you up, walk away with you. He could probably pick up Beverly with one hand. Anyway, so we'll type Cat fantasy points, D-Russ fantasy points. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's crazy for all the fantasy points here. Maybe we don't put them all in the same card. But this is a beautiful total, beautiful pace. And if we came back on game 2 and all these fantasy point props had a +5 on it on the PrizePicks board, I wouldn't be surprised. This is definitely the game, as you would say. Anything else on the T-Wolf side before we move on to the other side? Jared Vanderbilt, I saw in our free Discord somebody had mentioned that they were interested in checking out his rebound prop. Did you have a chance to look at that, and do you want it?
He is a rebound machine. The only problem is that Memphis is a really good rebounding team too.
Right.
And And if Cat does get his full run, that'll eat into his rebounds. I mean, he had that spike game against the Clippers because, one, it's the Clippers and they're a really bad rebounding team, and two, Cat obviously was in foul trouble and then fouled out. So it's risky, and it's more mid-tier in my opinion, just because Cat in there to get boards and Edwards too. So
Yeah. Okay.
I get it. He's good at rebounding.
All right. So let's move our focus over to the Memphis side. And we'll start with the top, man. Ja Morant has missed quite a few games towards the end of the regular season. Came back, showed us he could play some minutes. When he was playing this season, I mean, we joke about black hole on some of these teams where you pass it and you ain't getting it back. Well, Ja Morant was out there dropping 30s and driving straight to the rack. Now, to his credit, there was a stretch where Dylan Brooks was out, right? So it was just like him and Desmond Bane and going from there. So, but theoretically, we should expect Ja Morant to lead the team in points and shot attempts. Do you disagree with that?
I don't disagree, and I think their fantasy points is too low for him.
Okay. And they got him at 46. I right now have him at 54. So, yeah, almost a 9-point discrepancy, maybe close to 10 points.
In this pace, his style of play, like, I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you like his real points more? I mean, he just fills the stat line.
Yeah, he does a little bit of everything. So I'm with it. I actually was like, I saw 7.5, and I felt like I don't know if I want to sweat that. So I like throwing the blanket over everything, getting those fantasy points, getting the big minutes out of him, and I expect him to be over a 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy in a high pressure game here. So yeah, give me Ja Morant for sure, and I like that fantasy point call. I think it's the easiest way to sweat because any of these super active guards that do a little bit of everything. Like, why isolate it to just one? So yeah, I'll take the fantasy points.
Okay, and then Desmond Bane, he can rack up stocks. We've seen it, and as a result, it causes him to get in foul trouble too. But they have him at 1.5 block steal, or just if you want to get his point potential too, they have him at 30 fantasy points. But you have him projected for 34, so it's not much of a difference there.
Yeah, he's a little bit more on the scoring dependent side, right?
Yeah, but like I said, he does have those steal spike games too.
So he had 1.5 blocks of steals.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I don't know.
Jaren Jackson train coming through. Chugga 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 chugga. That's stupid. All right. Yeah, I don't think I cored that because I do wear it with like Bane and Brooks together. I just feel like one of them goes, one of them doesn't. Right. Looking at the season, actually, let's elongate to the beginning of the season for this sample size on the Grizzlies here. This season, when all three are on the court, that being Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, we got only 152 minutes of sample size. Ja Morant, 27% usage rate. Dylan Brooks, 26%. Desmond Bane, third on the podium at 19%. And then Ja Morant, almost 1.2 fantasy point per minute, and both Bane and Brooks under 1. With Bane actually being more efficient fantasy-wise. But, yeah. Also, Steven Adams, maybe we could segue into him. He is second on that team when the starters are on the court in assist rate at 15%. Now, that's not like the 30% that, we love to see. But we've seen some of those games where he flirts with a triple-double. We didn't get an assist prop for Steven Adams, huh? That's a fun one, but I guess we don't get it today. Dang.
I know.
Oh well.
I looked out for it, but
yeah. All right, so let's talk about Steven Adams. Anything here you want on him? He's another guy that maybe we don't expect. Well, a lot of games that we see with Steven Adams, he doesn't get a lot of minutes because they're blowing teams out, right? They had, if we look at the team metrics chart and look at net rating, Memphis was 4th in net rating. A lot of games they're blowing teams out, so I do think in a more competitive game, you get your vet big out there, and he probably plays a little bit longer, maybe 30, 32 minutes, something like that. I have him for 30 fantasy points. Maybe that's right on the button. Maybe we inverse the query on Cat, and we go Steven Adams, FTP by game log versus Karl Anthony Towns last 5 games. See what pops back. 28.9, 11, 9, 29, 15. That's going back to the Thunder days. So this season alone, 19 minutes, 18 minutes, 27 minutes with really no. I know there was a blowout. There was a couple. He was minus 17 and minus 21 in those 2 games. All right, maybe that's unsteady enough to gravitate towards anything. And any Jaren Jackson interest for you?
Yeah, I think maybe consider his free throw prop. It's right about its season average it's close to the season average.
Okay.
It's Cat and Vanderbilt.
Yeah. And we say it all the time. Was the Timberwolves in the season allowing the most free throws per game? Or that are in the playoff? I think the Pistons might have jumped up there at the end. But
yeah, I think Pistons were like just past them towards the end there.
Okay, so 4 free throws for Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm with it. Let's type it down. Jaren Jackson free throw. So I didn't end up with anything for Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks. Do you want to sweat either of them, or?
I mean, I wish we got a 3-point prop for Bane. I mean, I'm sure it would have been high. It would have been like 3 probably. I think it's too hard to call. It's gonna be more mid tier because you're really just throwing a dart and whoever pops off. So between the two, I'm gonna go with guys I can trust and Morant, and maybe I can get on this Jaren Jackson free throw prop.
So they did put a couple bench guys for the Grizzlies on the board. Yeah. Brandon Clark, DeAnthony Melton, Kyle. The Andersons got tickets to the game. How'd they get tickets? I don't want to sweat anything. I would almost say Kyle Anderson under 18, but that's just because I hate Kyle Anderson.
throw him into the Kevin Huerter pool.
Put him next to the gun special. It's because every time he would like draw a start in DFS, you would just feel obligated to play him because he was always too cheap, and he would just give you like 5 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Son of a B. All right, so hey, that's this game. Anything else from this game that we need to mention? Any secret double?
So.
No.
I think if you're gonna stack this game somewhat with a card, you're hoping that it's gonna shoot out and stay close. And if that's the case, then I think Cat's fantasy points. I think you got to match it with Morant's and hope that we go at it. Because I don't see the T-Wolves staying close with Memphis if Cat fouls out or gets in foul trouble like he did against the Clippers. This Memphis team is a well-oiled machine, way better than the Clippers, so they can't afford. Like, Cat has to be productive. He has to be Cat today.
I agree. Okay, cool. So let's matriculate on to the next one. Before we're done, we get caught up on chat. Shout out to live chat. Sean says Trey had a Kansas-like game in the second half. What up, Robert Bickerstaff? Just came across Dylan Brooks 3 assists. Is that a trap? Says Emerson. So. We have the assist rates from Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks had a 13% assist rate in that. You might see maybe inflated numbers lately because of that big stretch without Ja Morant. I guess we could do the lazy query here on StatMuse, and that's Dylan Brooks assist by game log with Ja Morant last 10 games. So the number to beat is what, 3? 5, 1, 4, 5, 2, 2, 1, 3. Yeah, it may not be that stable. So I don't think I want to sign off on it because the actual numbers, like the 14% assist rate, saying that there's no reason to love it, especially if you just think it's a fast enough game and he's gonna bring the ball up court a few times. I don't disagree with that, but I don't have a mathematical stamp of approval on it. Just looking at the metrics. Morant going off tonight. What up, Wes? They've been conservative to have him ready for the playoffs. Yeah, I think he definitely could play a lot of minutes. And, man, I think the energy in that building, that should have been a main event. Sorry, Josh. I don't watch them Warriors. Their product's old and stale. Man, give me Memphis and T-Wolves every night.
No, I don't believe you, man. That Nuggets game, Warriors game is not going to be the most appealing game.
All right, well, let's move on to the Raptors at the Philadelphia 76ers. Philadelphia. And we'll start with the Raptors side. Raptors are full strength, something that they haven't been for a while. There's always been an OG Anunoby or a Fred VanVleet knee issue or something like that. So as they are full strength, something we saw in the regular season was Nick Nurse said we don't need a bench. Like, we don't need a bench. All my starters are going to play 38 minutes. We are Tom Thibodeauing it up. So if you saw 41 minutes, 42 minutes of Van Vliet tonight, or Scotty Barnes, or especially Pascal Siakam, Gary Trent, do not be surprised. And because of that, I would probably find myself early on thinking about some overs, and though I haven't looked at the board yet. So now going over to the Raptors here, and just thinking about the Raptors and how they've been lately, Siakam has been on a new level. He has got a fantasy point prop at 45. He is projected in my model at 47.5. So not a lot of meat left on the bone there. Looking at Fred Van Vliet, he has a 36 fantasy point prop. I've got him at 44, so I'm getting a little bit more differentiation or margin of difference there. And then on the first look video this morning, you mentioned, hey, maybe Van Vliet's assist prop would be live at 6. While this team, not necessarily known for his assist rate, I think they have the lowest assist rate in basketball. They do. Van Vliet is like the main guy to get him. He averages almost 7 assists per game. So if we put 40 minutes of him versus maybe some James Harden defense, stuff like that, maybe he can facilitate a little bit more in a game that they want to win. Right, it's the playoffs. So I don't mind looking at that. So start me off here on maybe what's your favorite Raptor prop to key in on?
Yeah. It's probably going to be Van Vliet's 36 fantasy point. If you look at his game log history against the Sixers, I know there's different teams in the history, but I mean, he's thrived against them, and with the amount of minutes he's going to play at point and against Harden, who's turnover prone, I just feel like 36 is probably too low. Let's see what you have projected for.
44 and a half, yeah.
About 8 points, 8.5. Yeah, and then secondary, if you don't want to sweat such a larger number, you could, like I said, go with that 6 assists that you talked about. Interestingly, and then Siakam is the second target that I'm interested in. Interestingly, at a double-double form, but his rebounds 9. But he does have these spike assist games, but I think Van Vliet's going to command the floor, so I doubt he gets 10 assists in this matchup.
I agree.
So I would stick with his fantasy just because, I mean, he's going to do it all. And again, with the Raptors, I just like their fantasy points because of the amount of minutes they're going to play and be out there for. And so it's just more opportunity to fill the stat line and fall into some steals or blocks or rebounds. So I think you have, let's see, Siakam. You have not much of a gap, though. I mean, with him, it's like almost 48, and he's at 45. So, I mean, I guess you could consider his real points because he has been leading the team in scoring this last stretch of games in this last month or so. So, what do you feel better about with him? Do you like his points or his fantasy?
I do think that they are all kind of priced appropriately. I guess we should go do a wowie on that. And while I do that, I want to shout out Joseph Quinzer, man. Appreciate that sub. Welcome to the channel. Raptors. Let's do the full season and let's put them all in the court because we do have. Remember that like stretch of 5 games where there was no bench players coming off for the Raptors. I'm kind of expecting that today. It would be kind of weird for Nick Nurse to change that up.
But Van Vliet's missed a lot of time this season too. So
yeah,
he was dealing with that sore knee all season long.
Anunoby and then Gary Trent. All right, I'm gonna put all the starting 5 on the court together just to see what we get for some of these numbers. And we get a 25% assist rate for Van Vliet. For Siakam, we're getting about a 1.1 fantasy point per minute rate. The number that sticks out the most for Siakam is he leads the team in defensive rebound rate at 24.5%. So maybe we look at his rebounds, and then all these guys are choking threes at a decent clip. But nothing screaming here. Like this whole team is less than a point per minute outside of Siakam, and I think that's being propped up by his rebound propensity. So. I think but I do like the Van. I just think the Van Vliet fantasy points. Anytime the fantasy points is lower than the minutes projected, anything else be darned in the playoffs, like I might have to be looking at that, and I think that's the case here. And all of the Raptors are just so good on defense. This entire starting unit averages over a steal per game, and Van Vliet, Gary Trent, OG Anunoby over 1.5 to 1.7 steals per game. So we almost get a +9 implied just for for Van Vliet there, and then we're kind of just hoping he fills in the rest with a couple assists and a couple points. So I think I'm with you. Van Vliet fantasy points should be probably one of my favorite clicks on the team.
That's the one I just kept going back to last night when I was building some cards early on. I was just kept going back to it. Just like you said, that you brought up a great point. The minutes being projected being over the projected fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, how often do we get that for a starting point guard?
And then, do you know why we don't have any Trent props still yet? Is there? I mean, there's nothing holding up on him, right?
Not that I know of. I can double check.
It's weird.
No, I don't see anything.
I mean, because OGs would be the only question mark on the team. Nick Nurse said that he doesn't know what's going on with him and how many minutes he'll play because he has that sore thigh. So he would be the only real question mark on the team.
Yeah, I'll go pull up ODDSJAM and see if there's any public lines on Gary Trent. Looks like there is no line on Gary Trent points here. Weird. That is very weird. I'm gonna do some digging on that. What's the hold up? Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot because I had the wrong game open. Maybe that maybe ODDSJAM is a great tool, but it can't fix stupid. So I'll have to work on that part. Now let's go to Sixers and the Raptors game here, and then pull up player points, and then Control F a Gary Trent. Yeah, so Gary Trent on the books. There's a few different lines, but there's nothing universally set. But it looks like if and when we do get points for Gary Trent on PrizePicks, looks like 18.5 is the number to look out for.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty typical for when they're fully healthy.
Mm-hmm. No warm and fuzzies, right? We know that the whole team's going to play, but this pace and this total, not really something that we're looking at. And I mean that both ways here. You look at the pace rating on the season. The Raptors had the 4th lowest pace. The Sixers had the 5th lowest pace. So it's going to be more methodical, milking shot clocks and stuff like that. So not as sexy as the T-Wolves and Grizzlies game is pre-flop. So anything other than Fred VanVleet fantasy points that you feel super confident about? For me, no.
No, it was just maybe getting on some Siakam real points or fantasy, but based on I wanted to see your projections, and based on your projections, it's tight, man. So I'm just gonna stick with VanVleet, and then I think we could get on a couple of these Sixers props.
All right, before we move forward, I do want to double check. Maybe some of the public lines on Siakam rebounds, because he does lead the team in rebound percentage as a starter, and he's getting single-digit rebounds as his prop. So Siakam is at 9.5 with a little bit of juice, or a little bit vig on the under. So I guess with that said, PrizePicks is at 9. So I guess we're in push territory right now. And then while we're at it, let's look at Pascal Siakam rebounds by game log versus Joel Embiid. Let's go last 5 games.
Do you think they don't have Trent because they don't know the starting lineup? Like, there's a possibility that Trent might come off the bench because if they play Birch at the 5?
I don't know that Vegas is thinking that hard. So, I mean, some Vegas book. I don't know. It seems like they might be thinking hard, but they know more than we do. But when Birch does start, he doesn't play many minutes anyway, and he's live tonight.
They wanted him to match up with Embiid, and in case they want to throw a shadow double with like Siakam or something like that. Not have Siakam go head to head 1-on-1 with Embiid.
That's not a bad strategic thought. Sacrifice some bodies, right? Birch, Boucher, Achua, guys like that. Hey, you could foul all you want. go body up Embiid. And we, you referenced that quote this morning. I read it yesterday. Embiid said that his mindset going into a game against the Raptors is I'm not scoring 40. they're going to double team me, they're going to trap me and stuff like that. So, it does support the potential thought. And, I mean, we can look at some of the recent games here and see.
Yeah, but OG didn't play in those games.
That's true. Yeah, there's probably a one. Yeah, okay. All right, so that's something to keep an eye on. Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so only Van Vliet fantasy points was in my notes. Let's move over to the 76er side. Joel Embiid, 0.5 real points. Like we said, that defense is going to trap him, so it's going to be kind of risky.
Yeah, be careful.
No, so if you guys haven't already used this one, obviously attach it to something that you really like. I believe it's a $20 max on it. It's a free bet, so find your favorite prop, and I would probably just 2-pick power it and go from there. But the 76ers generally, we're going to have a situation here. When this game goes to Toronto, Matisse Thybulle would not be eligible to play. But in these home games, he will be eligible, and his on ball and his defense is really strong. So we might get some spots where some of these Raptors have better games without Thybulle in Toronto. With that said, the focal point on the 76ers usage-wise is going to be James Harden. It's going to be Joel Embiid. Let's start with the James Harden side. Harden, especially if we build on the thought that Joel Embiid continues to get trapped by that Raptors defense. They got him at 10.5 assists, 21.5 real points, 7 rebounds, and 45 fantasy points, which versus what I got him at 51, and playoff Harden might just be a little different, and might you might see that 55 plus, and you might definitely get some extra trips to the free throw line with the aggressive defense that the Raptors do play. So I do like grabbing some exposure to some James Harden numbers, and you talk to me about James Harden, I'll pull up the NBA Wowie, get the official stats since the All-Star break.
Yeah, I mean, probably want to stick with his assist here. I forgot this game is in Philly, so Thybulle will actually be playing. I would like it more so if Thybulle was out, which he will be out when they go to Toronto, because it just opens up more shooters around him, and I think they usually start Danny Green in his place. So, Danny Green in that wing 3. So, I mean, when Thybulle plays, you're going to get a little less assist opportunity there. But, yeah, lately, I mean, I'm telling you, ever since Doc came out and said publicly to the media, like, Harden needs to pass more and be a playmaker more, it flipped a switch and he went right back to it. Because there was that stretch of games, I don't know if you remember, like, he was having, 5 to 7 assists, and he was just, like, totally different and just shooting and not setting up the offense. And, the Sixers fans, the media were getting on him, saying that actually maybe let's take a step back. This wasn't actually a good fit because, they were like in that honeymoon phase early on. Everyone was saying, like, this is the real deal, that this team has a chance with Harden now. But, yeah, I think he went back to that way of being a playmaker. So I think that 10.5, like guys like him and Chris Paul, their assist rates, I mean, it's just off the charts, and that's why they lead the league in total assists this year.
Yeah.
So I can always get on that, especially when it's less than 11. I mean, they have Chris Paul at 11 right now, which it opened at. They're dropping Suns props right now. So just give you a frame of reference there. I think anything when it's around 10 for Harden, I can get on. And then his free throw prop, I mean, he's so good at drawing fouls. It just depends on the officiating crew today. I noticed, in playoff games, each crew's going to call a game different.
Exactly. We saw that kind of early in that T-Wolves game, and Cat got into foul trouble. If you look at those fouls, they're good fouls, but you would think that the NBA wants to hold the whistle a little bit in the playoffs, let them play. So, and Harden is the poster boy of ticky-tack fouls. So you wonder if there's a meeting with the refs and be like, hey, he's gonna do this. How do we want to approach it? So I'm with you on at least the thought process might be different for officiating, but 7 free throws is still pretty beatable for James Harden.
Yeah, it's just 4 trips to the line, or 5 if he misses 1 or 2. And then so with that kind of that narrative and game theory that Embiid gets trapped a lot, which is Nick Nurse's style, his 3.5 assists is interesting because he will have to find the open shooter if he has a shadow defender, double team defender coming on. out of the wing, he could find the open wing shooter, which would be guys like Maxey or Yang when he's in. So that could increase his assist opportunity. I think 3.5 is below his season average. We've seen him clear this mark plenty of times this season. So I think I like that most for Embiid out of all his props, just because the Raptors are going to focus all their energy. They're so lengthy and athletic on defense. But it's Embiid, so
Yeah.
he's always live for scoring. But yeah, I think that low number just makes it easier to sweat, in my opinion. And you can pair it with things like Maxey's points. He's found success against these Raptors before, and he's going to be needed today. Both him and Tobias's points, especially from the three ball. And they should have open opportunities. Like I said, if Nurse stays true and says, okay, Embiid, you're not going to beat us, but we're going to make everyone else like Tobias and Maxey beat us. So with that said, I could consider Maxey's points or Tobias.
I'm gonna read this quote and I'll put it on screen,
Sure.
so that the folks understand it. We're not making this up. So Joel Embiid on Toronto, he said, "The way they defend me has never changed. They just play recklessly, sending 3 guys at me as soon as the ball is in the air. They made me better, honestly, over the years. Just playing against them and watching them definitely made me a better playmaker." And then I want to find the quote where he said, I have to change my mindset. He said, "I'm never going into the series hoping to average 40 points. They're going to get the ball out of my hands. So it's all about me really not getting frustrated, keep trusting my teammates over and over, making the right plays. Doesn't matter if it's 10, 20 points or whatever. As long as we score, that's my mentality. All the attention they're going to throw on me, I just got to make my teammates better." So, like you said, the assist prop, definitely in line with that statement. And then I went and pulled up his last 5 games against the Raptors. The assists are 2-2, 4-2, 2. Not what you want. He did muscle a 30-point game last outing on April 7th. However, I'll say this: 59.2 fantasy points has been his 5-game cap in 37, 34, 36 minutes. I don't know how much more above 37 minutes I'm going to get today out of Embiid in game 1. But for his 5-game cap being 59 fantasy points, they have Embiid's fantasy point prop at 59. He's gonna have to squeeze every bit of creativity if he's gonna beat that. So we don't really take unders much, right? But the 59 under on Embiid just might be live. Just want to put that out there.
That
Right, I don't want to sweat Embiid under whatever, but
man.
but I'm just if we just look at what he's put out there, his mentality, what they've actually done, and it's not like those games are in 28 minutes. Like okay, but I do obviously
he doesn't like playing him. I'm sure he is not. He's not looking forward to today.
Yeah. All right. So I've got Harden over 10.5 assists. I think there's a couple Harden props live. I think the fantasy point prop on Harden's pretty live as well, at 45. So I'm going to add that to my list as well. James Harden over 45 FPS. Even the 2 threes is live. Everything that you mentioned, all there for him. Do you want to add anything from Tobias Harris and Maxey onto the official list, or is this like tertiary stuff? I think Toby has come alive somewhat, and that does coincide with what you said. Harden's got to make plays for his teammates, and that is consistent with Tobias having a better, final quarter of the season. But at worst, this is at best is a slow-paced matchup and a less than stellar matchup for all these guys. So I really just want to bank on the usage minute guys because of the pace and whatnot. But did you have anything on Toby and Maxey that you think you're going to get some action on?
I want to get access to their points. Just with that idea that Embiid's going to need these other support guys to score. But what about their 3-point props? Do they have one for both?
We've got Maxey 2 threes and Tobias Harris 1.5.
that Tobias Harris is 1.5. If you want to sweat a small number, I think that could be in play. I think he's gonna rotate to the corner at times, and he's gonna be out of the top of the key. So, how many threes has he taken since recently per game? Let's see.
Tobias Harris last couple games, FGA 0, 3, 5, 6, 5, and against Toronto, he's averaging he's 3 for 16 on the season in 4 games. So sweat is a understatement.
3 of 16.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah! That's okay. Stone Cold 316 anyway.
Wow.
What? Oh,
okay. Well, then yeah. I mean,
Max is 8 of 16, a little better.
Yeah, Maxi is definitely a more efficient 3-point shooter, but you're gonna need 3. I mean, but even if he gets 2, it's gonna push.
What about 3 assists for Toby? You mentioned that was that high post thing that we saw.
Yeah. But it's the offense might have to change today.
Okay. All right. So I feel like we're trying to force something.
I would say Maxi's 3-point prop I could put as mid tier.
Okay.
They're gonna need him to score.
Bet. And then if you haven't put 20 on this Embiid half a point, do it. Take the over. But their tacos are always traps. They always get. I swear, if Embiid rolls an ankle on the jump ball or something stupid, I will start to believe that PrizePicks has an inside job. All right, we got one game left on the docket, and that is your Golden State Warriors at home, hosted the Denver Nuggets. But before we do that, we got to take a pause for the cause and remind you guys that all of our favorite props will be listed cordially and easy on the eyes in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. So go to RunDFS.com, click VIP memberships, grab a pass, then click VIP portal, and there's a link to the NBA spreadsheet, link to the premium Discord, and I do baseball too. And I'll have baseball. If you're here and you're wondering, hey, are you going to do a baseball breakdown video? I probably not going to have time to do it on this channel, but I will be on the Osmo Live before lock later today. So you can catch some of my spins and all that stuff. But we'll have the spreadsheet ready in a jiffy. Who says that? Me. I do.
Hey, Mitchell came.
Did he? All right, let's get caught up. What's going on in this Utah game? Let me refresh it. Bam, bam, bam. Gobert has 3 blocks. That's what you like to see.
But no points. I mean, of course, Mitchell's not passing to him.
Yeah, I mean, what else is new? It is 73-65. Utah Jazz have the lead. Hey, Dallas, no Luka. They're hanging in there. Let's see if they can steal one here at home. And then box score-wise, what are you guys out there sweating? Bojan had a big first half, 8 for 12 total, 7. So he's only had a couple points. This reminds me of Christmas, where I almost took down that 100K. And I went to Bojan over Carmelo, and Carmelo had a big day, and Bojan had a good first half. And then he got into foul trouble, blah, 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 blah. Donovan Mitchell has gotten up to 21, so that's huge. What were you guys sweating in chat? 25, something like that? So good luck to you guys in that fourth quarter. I hope he gets there for you. Mike Conley's at 2 assists, and then Rudy Gobert is just at 5 points, 3 blocks, and he does have 13 rebounds. So what was his line? 12.5, 13.5, something like that. So
he's at 31 fantasy points, and his fantasy prop was 39. So he's on track.
Yeah, he's got a shot. He'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Good luck, guys. I hope the fourth quarter does well. All right, Nuggets at the Warriors. We got 223 total, a 6.5 point spread in favor of the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry will play?
Yeah, but not full.
Not full minute. What does that mean in the playoffs? Is 31 minutes not full minutes?
All I heard in the local radio, Steve Kerr said he will not play 38 minutes. Take that.
I hate coaches so much. Yeah, he won't.
I know.
He probably won't play 38 minutes, but he'll play. So 37 and a half minutes for Steph Curry. Got it.
He said yesterday when he went through like 2 days ago in practice, he went through some scrims, and he said it was really sore still, but he's gonna fight through it. So a lot of unknowns there.
Yeah. By the way, catch it on chat. Shout out to Mia Moore. Shout out to Corey in the chat. Emerson said the only Embiid prop that's going to cover is the half a taco. Ray, what up, Ray? Aaron Gordon over 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists, or Fred VanVleet over 18.5 points. Ooh. I would probably look at, if I was going to get to Aaron Gordon PRA, I would probably just go grab fantasy points, assuming that it's not that drastically different. 29 fantasy points. We know he's touted for his defense, right? Maybe this is a spot where he grabs a couple steals or whatnot, but I don't know. I like Van Vliet, but again, I'm more on his fantasy points than any individual isolated stat. So, yeah. All right, let's start with the Nuggets side. Nikola Jokic, I've got him for 67 fantasy points. This is a game where you know the minutes are going to be there. They have him for 60 fantasy points, and I know it feels crazy to put money on that high of a number, but man, this is Jokic basketball, and I'll do a little query here. Nikola, how many? Let's do 35 minutes. Nikola Jokic FTP by game log.
Season average. Season average is like 58.9.
That's insane. So I put Jokic with 35 minutes last 30 games, with 60 being the number to beat. He's beat it literally in every game in the last 30 games that he played at least 35 minutes. Let's go last 50 games. He didn't beat it in 1, 2, 3 games, and one of them is by less than a fantasy point. One of them's on the 26th against the Brooklyn Nets, ironically, and that was, bare bones 35. He might get like 38, 39 minutes today, and then the other one is on January 11th against the Clippers, and yeah, that was a weird. I think that was that like 80 to 70 game. You remember what I'm talking about? Let me see.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that was the game that put up. Yeah, it was 85 to 87. And that's probably not going to be the final score here. So, as high of a number this is for Jokic, 60, right? I think the over is still the right play.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Warriors have no one that can stop them. I mean, Draymond's going to try.
Yep.
But other than Draymond, I mean, it's going to take a team effort, and yeah, they can't stop him.
All right, cool. He has
to carry the team, right? I mean, we've seen when he goes off how bad this Nuggets team actually is. It's true colors.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are betting quarters, when Jokic leaves the court in like the second quarter, you could probably bet the Warriors to win the second quarter, and I doubt it would be like even money or anything like that, but their plus minus when Jokic is off the court is actually disgusting. Like, it's an abomination that the man can't take a sip of water without his team giving up 10 points. So, if this game's going to stay close. Now, there's a couple game scripts here that could make this go awry, and the most scary one being, would it blow out? And then, how much of a blowout does it got to be for Mike Malone to call the dogs off in the fourth quarter? It's probably going to be pretty insane. So I'm not going to overthink that aspect. I got him for 67. The line is 60. I'm going to like a lot of Jokic today. Do you want to break this number down into a more beatable number? Maybe 6 free throws against a happy Draymond or Looney or something like that's in play. But I kind of just want to take the fantasy points.
Yeah, okay. So as free throws, I would be all in if it was at Denver. And it wasn't Scott Foster tonight. So I found out, this changes a lot of things. I found out it's Scott Foster's officiating crew. And for those who don't know, like, we have really bad history with this dude. We hate him. And he hates us. So but in general, he does not call fouls that much, especially in the playoffs. Okay. But he'll throw techs up. So there's an ongoing joke around here. It's like, how many techs do Draymond and Jokic combine together? Because, Jokic, Draymond's going to try to get in his head. And Jokic, we've seen him get frustrated and flustered, and he'll get texts. Mm-hmm. I mean, Scott Foster, I remember the playoffs when Pat Bev, was putting his shoe on, and Draymond was trying to drive on him, and Pat Bev fell down with his shoe and drew the charge call on Draymond. And Drake's like, "Are you serious? You just look at Scott Foster and like, you gotta be kidding me." And then Scott Foster gives Boogie when Boogie was on the team, gives him a tech and throws him out of the game when he wasn't even in the game. He was sitting on the bench. This guy, man, he's and he gives Steve Kerr a lot of text too.
Yeah.
So I was really on the idea that like maybe just how much the Warriors foul and that we could go for free throw props, but I think I think you have to hold back with Scott Foster on that. But yeah, and it makes me like less. I was really liking Dre today, but man, that history of Scott Foster scares me. But we'll get to that when we get to the Warriors side.
I just got a DM on Discord. I guess somebody's in our free Discord. It says, "How are you doing today? I have a question. You let people use racist language in your group?" Question mark. And then I guess somebody referred to Mike Conley with an A, not a hard R. So I don't. We're live. I'm sorry, I can't moderate the Discord while I'm live. And sure, don't whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think just stick with the fantasy, man. He's gonna do it all for the team. He's gonna carry the team on his back and play all the minutes he can handle. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
Guys, what do you want to do with them?
Yeah, that's where I was going to go to. So what we do know with the Nuggets is that Campazzo's out, and I don't know if that just means we're going to get deeper minutes on ball handlers like Morris and Barton. If Austin Rivers, a sneaky veteran with playoff experience, going to get a little trusted minutes. Jeff Green, maybe. Yeah, there's a couple scenarios here to play with. I do think, like, ultimately at the end of the day, I mean, all season long, how many times have we looked up, especially like DraftKings board, you know how they have the fire and the snowflake? How many times is it only like Jokic and then everyone else has like 20 or less fantasy points? So that is possible. I do think you got to get more out of Will Barton, out of Aaron Gordon here. I have Gordon at 33 fantasy points. I've got Will Barton at 31 fantasy points. I believe on the first look video this morning, you mentioned Will Barton assists could be in play. I don't hate that thought, especially if they do try to double up Jokic. But, you know, teams have tried to double Jokic all year, and he's just an animal. It doesn't work because he'll find some way to succeed, especially for us in fantasy. But I understand, like, it's not pretty. It's not warm and fuzzy to get to anyone else specifically with the high level of confidence. Bones Highland has a 2 3-pointer prop, 11.5 real point prop, stuff like that. Maybe if you want to sweat some of the tertiary lines, I wouldn't necessarily get there unless I had to, or if I was rage betting after a poor first game or something like that.
I would say Monte Morris is pretty live. He's hurt the Warriors this year just because when they try to shut down Jokic, he does find him open at the 3-point line. So I think 1.5 3 could be in play, and then even I think his 11.5 points is too low, in my opinion.
All right, and what do I got on Highland's points? I got Highland at about 10. Yeah, I mean all this other stuff is just us. I think just game theory, like or just hoping it goes our way.
The last 2 games, Morris has almost scored 20 real life points on the Warriors. So,
what is the constant in those games? Because that seems a little outlier-ish.
Constant is he's hitting his threes, and Jokic is finding him open. He hit that game winner against the Warriors, and I don't know if you saw that game this year, but man, that hurt.
19, 18, 13, 10, 11 points. March 10th is the last game for the Nuggets.
I think that was the game winner, wasn't it?
There was no Will Barton in that last one.
Wasn't
So that's an absence. On the March 7th game, there was also no Will Barton. I think the constant is no Will Barton.
Oh, that February 16th game is when he hit the game winner. The Warriors are up 2, and there was 3 seconds left, and Morris hit the game-winning 3.
Okay, well, Barton did play that one, but he only played 21 minutes that game. So that asterisk has me a little concerned.
I just don't believe in Will Barton this year in scoring. That's just.
I mean that's fair, but I guess we can quantify some numbers here. So let's do Monte Moore's real points. I guess points. I don't have to put real. What's a fake point? Points by game log with Will Barton, or let's go points by game with Will Barton. this season. So with Will Barton, Morris. That ain't.
And then what's his assist with after you run that?
By game. Let's go points. Points per game, I guess, is the query I should be looking at. Points per game with Will Barton this season. So 12 points per game with Will Barton this season. And then without Will Barton, he goes up to 16.5. So he gains about 4.5 points per game without Will Barton. And then what's the follow-up?
His assist, Morris with Barton.
Okay. Assist. I mean, would you rather do a percentage on that or just the results?
This is results, just to get an idea. I want to see if there's any effect of, because Morris has had these spike assist games that I can't figure out. Like he'll have 10 and then he'll have 3 the next.
It's about 5 assists without Will Barton per game in 10 games, and then 4.5 with Will Barton in 65 games.
So the prop is right at his line.
Right.
Average. Okay. Yeah. Those are all. I mean, these are all fringe in my opinion because you just don't know.
Right.
There's
all right.
I guess Eric Gordon, he's been playing huge minutes, and he will be one that we know will be out there, and will have to be productive alongside Jokic. So probably the only one I can trust. How about you?
I trust is a strong word. Yeah.
It's not Jokic on that team.
Yeah, it's 29 fantasy points. I have him on the over, but it's not that far over. I have him in 32, so I'm only getting 3 fantasy point. That's a sweat. Maybe we look for a more isolated number. Rebounds to 6.5, points 16.5. I'd probably want to cut that down somewhere. And then Gordon is for a guy that's known for being a great guard defender. He's only half and half on steals and blocks per game. So, yeah, I don't want to sweat anything that's not Jokic personally.
Same.
All right, let's go over to the Warriors. Warriors come out in clay.
Yeah.
Slow cat. Slow. No. All right. Hit that thumbs up as your clap. That was a cool one.
Yeah.
So there is no Steph Curry. Oh, there is a Steph Curry line. Oh, well then. All right, so we said Steph Curry's going to play. He won't play 38 minutes.
Yep, that's all we know.
I put him for 31. I got a 41 fantasy point projection.
Yeah.
They have him at... They don't have a fantasy point prop on him. They got 23.5 points. They got him at 4.5 free throws. So when I think about the playoffs, I think about grittiness. I think about guys that are going to take this game seriously. I think about Draymond Green. And when I think about Trey, 35 fantasy points on him. I've got him at 42. That's a +7. There is some tech issues, right? You mentioned Scott Foster, but
man, it scares me.
But I do just math based alone, matchup and what's at stake here. I'm thinking Draymond over 35 fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean we know playoff Draymond. He's another one of those guys like Pat Bev's. He's gonna go all in, and he's gonna try to get in Jokic's head, and he's gonna play really hustle defense. Yeah, I mean his 2.5 block steals could be something to consider. Definitely Wiggins 1.5 block steal. They brought that back. He's gonna be very active on defense.
How many minutes do you think Draymond plays tonight? 35? Is that at least a conservative estimate? He could play 40, but probably 35.
Yeah.
All right. So Draymond Green, FTP by game log with 35 minutes last 50 games. Now there isn't a lot of games that he's gone 35 or greater, especially this season. But in those games that he did, 47, 48, 45, 37, 43, 49. So that just kind of paints the picture. He's that involved, and some of this is going back to last year's playoffs. So yeah, we didn't get a lot of those big minute games out of Draymond this season. Matter of fact, it looks like only January 3rd on this entire season. I guess October 28th as well, how we got big minutes out of Draymond. The rest of the season he's been injured or not playing deep minutes. If we think 35 minutes is in the cards, maybe there's a soft projection by PrizePicks on his fantasy line because 35 is just something that he could net back 40 plus, especially with the scoring being so defensively influenced, right? The blocks and steals. So I'm gonna list Draymond Green over 35 fantasy points.
Yeah, no, it was one of my key targets until I heard the Scott Foster news. But let's just hope everything goes smoothly. So one important thing to note that so the last time these teams played, Coach Malone decided to do hack-a-shack on Looney because Looney's a really bad free throw shooter, and it forced Looney out of the game because he was missing his free throws. Coach Kerr is aware of this, and he said that he might have to change up some lineup rotations and things like that. So Looney might have to play less minutes. He especially won't close, and I doubt he touches the court in the fourth quarter. So that could be even more minutes for Dre.
So what you're saying, if PrizePicks puts a Looney prop at halftime, we might take the under.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I don't think he touches the court in the fourth quarter. I mean, because they were hacking him early on in that game. Yeah, so I mean that could open up more minutes for Dre. It's just depending on how his back is and how they feel about him and want to run him. So if he can stay out of foul trouble, and it could open up minutes for Porter too. If they need him for offense, if for any reason the Warriors have fallen behind, we might get props towards later in the day for guys like Porter, the secondary guy. So something to look out for.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dre's fantasy, and then Wiggins. Yeah, that 1.5 block and steal, man. Of all his props, I would probably just target that one for him because we know he has that upside to get both the blocks and steals. So that's a pretty low number.
Let's see what Wiggins blocks and steals are looking like when you get 35 minutes of air and opportunity. Cleared it 1, 2. Yeah. All right. It's live for sure. I don't mind it.
Yeah, and he's well rested now, so he should be good to go. And then Clay, his 3-point prop, man. It's been the slot machine all year, right?
Yeah. So you mentioned Otto Porter. We know Steph Curry. We don't know Steph Curry, right? And we know Jordan Poole proved that he could be a problem.
Yes.
So I'm worried about like all these point lines on everyone here. 23 on Clay. Steph is 23.5. We don't have a Jordan Poole line, but we got Wiggins at 17.5. There's a lot of like close to 20s across the board. It's hard to fathom that they all kind of get there, and we don't quite know that rotation. Like you mentioned, well, first of all, they have Andre Iguodala, who in the playoffs just might be more involved because he's Andre Iguodala. Secondly, Otto Porter has been a good 6-man option for them if it's not Jordan Poole, and he can get a bucket if they do remove Kevin Looney from the rotation here. You might see Draymond and Otto in their front court, especially to close. And then you could also see a lineup where, hey, Nuggets could come out somewhat small if they're playing from behind. Maybe throw Bones Highland in a 3-guard set with Morris, Barton, Gordon at the 4. Do you think at all tonight we see Curry, Clay, and Jordan Poole on the court at the same time?
I think so. I think Steve Kerr's like playing around with that lineup. I think that's going to be what he'll use at times when they need buckets in a hurry. So yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. Any time in these playoff series and going forward if they advance.
So it sounds like a nightmare to predict.
Correct.
For props.
I think I think a lot of it's just going to depend on the hot hand, who gets hot, and so whoever gets hot is going to keep getting fed and earn more minutes and more shot opportunities. So you're really you're pulling that slot machine lever and hoping that your guy is the one, right?
Yeah. So I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but I've got from this game, I've got Jokic and Draymond fantasy points as
I told you they feel good about this game. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, but it's a shame because it's such a good matchup for Steph because the Nuggets all year we have attacked them with point guards. Their defense. I mean, the Nuggets defense is not good by any means, and it's just Steph. I mean, I want to see how he looks coming first game back. He's been out for a few weeks, so I think it's too risky, in my opinion, for Prop World to target him without knowing how he looks.
All right. So I mean, you want to recap our notes here?
Sure.
All right, before we do that, shout out to our presenting sponsor, ODDSJAM. If you guys are not on ODDSJAM, you've seen us use it throughout the duration of the stream. They have a lot of cool free tools, including this line hunter, where we're able to go through different games here, see what Vegas, different sports books have on a player prop, what we might project for movement up or down on an individual prop, what we might get. We didn't have Gary Trent numbers. Maybe we can get a tell on what we might expect, and just kind of brace ourselves for that on PrizePicks. Is pretty useful there. They also have betting calculators, betting trackers, arbitrage spotters, a lot of really cool premium stuff. So if you guys want to check that out, it's a great companion to your PrizePicks hunt as it is from the freemium side, and then the premium stuff is pretty doggone good as well. Link in the description below. Get signed up over there, and then let's talk about what we just discussed. We just went through 3 games. I think pretty in depth, and as far as stuff that we felt somewhat confident about, I didn't put a lot of fringy stuff on it today. I put Karl-Anthony Towns fantasy points, D'Angelo Russell real points, but also don't hate fantasy points. Anthony Edwards fantasy points, Patrick Beverley fantasy points. I think that game could hit the over on fantasy points, but I do like the T-Wolves specifically. On the Grizzlies side, I wrote John Morant fantasy points, Jaren Jackson free throws. Then in the Sixers game, I got Fred VanVleet 36 fantasy points. That's less fantasy points than the amount of minutes I have projected for him. I think he could get over 40 fantasy points if he does just a little bit of everything. I got James Harden over 10.5 assists, James Harden over 45 fantasy points, and then I got Jokic over 60, Draymond over 35. So not a deep list, but I do feel somewhat steady about most of this stuff individually. Did I miss anything that you have that you feel a little bit better about than I do?
No, I think you pretty much covered all the really strong ones that we're feeling good about. Because there are a lot of fringe ones out there that are going to be risky today. Because this is the first game of each series, so we don't know what to expect rotation-wise and matchup-wise. So we have to go with the guys that we know are going to be, high-minute, high-usage guys and feel confident in.
Yeah. All right. Well, then that's our look at Saturday. A lot of fun. You guys stuck on some Utah Dallas game. I hope this finish is nice. It
not
is
the game. Not like I said.
Not
in the
the
video.
game. They might not break 200 points. It's not looking great. So if there was a game to miss out on, hey, I'm cool that we were able to get a little extra sleep on that one. But
he's got to move on. His team is not liking him.
And it's a shame. He might end up in Dallas actually.
One field goal attempt.
That's ridiculous. Crazy. That's ridiculous.
For your center.
You just can't. Yeah, you just can't. I get it. I mean, he doesn't shoot threes or jumper, whatever. He doesn't have to. He doesn't. He's taller than everybody. Anyway, chat, I appreciate you hanging out with us on Saturday afternoon. Just do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. If you're not in the free Discord, link to that's in the description below. Jump in there and sweat some lines, sweat some props tonight, man. Josh, appreciate your time on a Saturday. I'm going to get us out of here. Chat, I appreciate you making part of my debut, part of your day. Hey, I'll be on the Awesemo Live before lock talking baseball later today. Be sure to join me on that one. I appreciate you guys. Tell somebody you love them because I love you. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.
All right, why chat starts when?
For baseball or basketball?
Just in general.
Dude, they completely nuked the basketball DFS slates. So it's just unplayable. So I'm just gonna prop it tonight and focus on baseball. So I'll be in there. I'll probably be in there a little early, but I can't be there the hour before lock because I gotta jump on Awesemo.
Oh, you're gonna live before lock?
Yeah, I only said that 3 times on stream, so I appreciate you paying attention.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll be around.
All right, man. I'll catch you later.